Whether you're just starting a credit card journey or looking to upgrade and aren't sure which card to pick next, this is the best order to open your credit cards in, starting with the first card, which is actually a debit card. And the reason for that is because with most credit cards, one of the easiest ways to get started is by building a relationship with that bank. And whether you pick a mainstream bank or just a local credit union, opening a checking account is one of the easiest ways to start that relationship. Now, with that said, you don't actually need to have a debit card in order to open a credit card. However, opening a checking account will make it easier to pay bills, cash checks, and make it easier to manage your credit in the future. With that said, when you do open this account, I wouldn't necessarily open a credit card the next day. However, I would ask them what credit cards they do have for starters. Most mainstream banks have at least one starter card, but there are a few that don't. So this is why it's important to make sure that you check with the institution to make sure that they have what you need for the future. Now, when it comes to that checking account, you will want to make sure that you don't open one that has any fees. And one of the simplest ones to open that has no fees is something like a Sapphire checking account, which is an online checking account. Again, you can find something that's local to you, but normally with an online checking account, you'll find that they have either no fees, no minimums, and or have an ATM network that you can use locally or around the country. With that said, moving on from a debit card, we have the first card, which is a starter card. And this card usually requires no credit, has no annual fee, but also has no perks. When you start out with your first credit card, normally you'll have no credit score, meaning that there are a few banks that will actually trust you to have a credit card, but the ones that do normally have systems in place to make sure that there isn't much of a risk for them, hence the no perks. In addition to that, with your first starter card, you'll find that you normally have a lower credit limit, and again, that's just a way to mitigate risk from the bank's perspective. With that said, if you already have a debit card, I'd recommend going to your bank and asking them if they have any starter credit cards, because this is one of the easiest ways to get approved for your first credit line. However, if they don't, or for some reason you don't get approved from them, then I'd recommend checking out the Capital One Platinum, which is a great card to start building your credit. And one of the best things about the Capital One Platinum is the fact that it's in the Capital One network, meaning that you can start building a relationship with Capital One to make sure that in the future, when you're looking for other products, whether it's auto loans or high yield savings accounts, you'll be able to easily get approved for pretty much anything in their network as long as you maintain a good credit score. In addition to that, normally once you have this card for a few months, Capital One will offer you an upgrade. And the upgrade is normally to one of their cashback cards like the Capital One Quicksilver, which allows you to earn 1.5% cash back on every single purchase, which is great, but there are some better cards out there. Bringing me to the next set of cards you can open, cashback cards. These are some no annual fee cards with some solid benefits. And while something like the Capital One Quicksilver is okay, there are better cards out there like the Chase Freedom Unlimited, a no annual fee cashback card that allows you to earn 5% back on travel booked through Chase Travel Portal, 3% back on dining and drugstores, and then 1.5% back everywhere else. Basically like the Capital One Quicksilver, but there's obviously a plethora of more cashback categories. And an additional benefit of having this card is that you can start building your relationship with Chase. And one of the reasons why I keep mentioning building a relationship with all of these different banks is primarily because of the fact that while this doesn't factor into your credit score, once you're in good standing with each bank and you need to get approved for something like an auto loan in the future, this should make it easier for you to get approved and give you more optionality in terms of the interest rates that you get approved for. Now, with that said, you should know that with Chase, there are specific rules that you need to follow in terms of their credit cards, especially if you want to open more of them in the future. And the most important rule to make sure that you follow and understand is Chase's 524 rule, which is basically a rule that Chase has, which states that you can only open up a new Chase card if you haven't opened up more than 5 cards in the past 24 months. And just so you know, credit lines include things like credit cards, home loans, auto loans, and other type of financial loans in the past 24 months. And I know you might be thinking, who opens up more than 5 loans in the past 2 years? But it is something that happens, and this rule is meant to help Chase mitigate risks against people manipulating the system. With that said, as long as you stay inside these parameters specifically for Chase, you should be fine moving forward. So moving on, let's talk about the second to last card you should be thinking about next, which would be the mid-tier card. And this is where you you move from not just a starter, not just cash back, but you're moving on to a points tier card. And not only can you earn points on multiple different spending categories in the mid tier, but you'll normally also have benefits with these cards as well. The American Express Gold card is a mid tier card that I would say is designed primarily for those that spend on food. And the reason why I say that is because you actually have the ability to earn 4x points at supermarkets and on dining out up to $25,000 and $50,000 a year respectively, which is one of the few cards that actually allows you to earn this high of points on these categories. Now, with that said, pretty much all cards on the mid tier will have some form of an annual fee. And for something like the American Express Gold card, it has an annual fee of $325 per year, which may seem like a lot for a card that just allows you to earn extra points. But trust me, the points are just the start, because with this card, you'll have over $400 a year in annual benefits, like for Uber/Uber Eats, Grubhub, restaurants on Resy, and even at Dunkin'. And these credits are effectively an easy way to cover your annual fee with spends that you're probably already spending. For example, for me, I already knew I went to go eat out at least once a week, so it was easy to just change that from eating out to once a week to using the Uber Eats credit for pickup orders. Plus, in addition to those credits and spending categories, I was also able to earn the intro bonus once I hit the minimum spend threshold in the first few months of account opening. Which, if you didn't know, the American Express Gold card has a 60,000 point bonus when you spend $6,000 in the first 6 months of card membership. And those 60,000 points are worth at least $600 towards travel, making it a great way to start off with this card. With that said, if you want to find the intro bonus for this card or any other card on this list, I'll leave links to all of them in the description below, which when you use them to open your account help support these videos. So thanks in advance. Now, if you're on the mid-tier level and you don't want, let's say, a food card, but you want something that provides you with a little bit more travel perks, then I'd consider looking at something like the Capital One Venture, a $95 a year annual fee card that allows you to earn 5x miles on hotels and rental cars booked through the Capital One travel portal and 2x miles on everything else. Now, with this being a travel card, those spending categories are a nice added benefit. But in addition to that, you'll also receive a $50 experience credit, plus you'll receive a credit for either TSA pre-check or global entry. And lastly, you'll be upgraded to Hertz 5-star status. So pretty solid when it comes to your trips. Now, with that said, for Capital One, there is one rule that you have to consider when opening up this card, which is that internally Capital One primarily only allows users to have 2 cards open per user. So if you have something like the Capital One Platinum or Capital One Quicksilver as your entry level card, and then you have something like the Capital One Venture, you won't actually be able to open up any other card from Capital One. But again, you want to make sure that you know these rules just in case instead of the Capital One Venture, you want to open up another Capital One card that they have available to you. Moving on to the last set of cards that you should be opening up, we have your premium travel cards, which for these cards, you'll see higher annual fees of at least $550. But with that higher annual fee, you'll see a lot more perks and benefits. For example, you'll be able to earn anywhere from 5 to 10x points on hotels, rental cars, and flights, all booked through their travel portals. And one of the great parts is that with cards like this, you'll actually be able to use their 24/7 concierge service if you want them to book your flights for you. In addition to all of this, you'll also have yearly credits, whether that's $300 a year in an annual travel credit, $200 in Uber Cash, or even a similar credit to the Capital One Venture of covering the cost of TSA pre-check or your global entry. And keep in mind that while some of these benefits are similar to the mid-tier credits, the premium tier travel cards provide a lot more. When you open up a higher tier travel card, you'll normally have the ability to access over 1,000 lounges worldwide through something called Priority Pass, which is essentially a membership that allows you access to a plethora of airport lounges so you can relax and grab a bite before your flight. Then in addition to that, with those cards, you'll have the ability to access those company exclusive lounges. And while Priority Pass is great, don't get me wrong, something like a Reserve and Centurion Lounge tends to offer a lot nicer amenities and food for you to eat, which is something that the mid-tier cards definitely don't offer. That being said, the last benefit that you'll receive on something like a premium card compared to a mid-tier card is upgraded hotel status, whether that's at Marriott, Hilton, or even at Hyatt. providing you things like upgrade rooms when available, late checkout, and more, improving your overall travel experience from start to finish. With that said, the two cards that are normally considered at the top of the premium travel cards are the Chase Sapphire Reserve and the American Express Platinum card, which again, like with all of the other cards on this list, I'll leave links for both in the description. With that said, even though we've gone over the exact order in which you should open up your credit cards, we only just broke the surface of covering the best travel cards. To watch that video, check it out here, and see you there. Bye.